CM 365, all about Carnatic music.
I am very thankful to all Rasikas for the interest they've been showing in our CM 365. Some of you have also put up many questions which I'll try to answer one by one. Today I'll take up one question which a Rasika has asked about the difference between the set of ragas Madhyamavati, Shri, Manirangu, Pushpalatika, Brindavani and Brindavana Saranga. We'll keep Brindavani and Brindavana Saranga aside and first look into the four ragams Madhyamavati, Shri, Manirangu and Pushpalatika. Now what is similar about these is that all of them share some kind of a common or a similar kind of a movement, and that's why for a lay Rasika also I would say that, or even for a musician at a preliminary level, it is not very easy to identify the difference between these four ragas because they may sound quite very similar. In a simple way, I'll try to explain to you what is the basic difference between these four ragas. Madhyamati, of course, all the four again are Janyas of Karahara Priya, and so the variety of notes that they share is the same. But the difference lies in the Arona in the sense that first we'll take up Madhyamavati. Of course, I've done Madhyamavati as a separate session also before, so I'll not go into detail but show you what is distinct about this ragam and what are the notes which have to be highlighted in order to make it sound like Madhyamavati. So, Sari Ma Pa Ni Sa Sa Ni Pa Ba Ri Sa. So where the Re and the Ni have to be kept on oscillated in order to bring that or to keep up the identity of the ragam. For example, Re Pa Ma Ri Sa Ni Sa Ri Sa Ni Ba Pa Ni Sa Ri Ma Ri Sa Re Ma Pa Ni. So, it is not appropriate to render the Re or the Ni plain in this particular ragam, especially the Re, it has to be oscillated all the time. And we see that the Trinity, all of them have given us beautiful compositions in this, like Rama Katha. In the opening phrase itself, you see what a long oscillation the Rishabha has given. Or Nadopai Balike Rori Ri Ri Mari Zari, the focus of the Ri with the oscillation. Or if you take the composition of Shama Sastri, Palinchu Kamakshi Pavani. So the Re is elongated and oscillated. Or another composition of Papanasim Sivan, Sharavana Bhava Guhane. So you'd see that this characteristic of oscillation of the Rishabha is maintained throughout in all the compositions. Coming next to Shri. Here we see that it takes the same Arona as Madhyamavati, like Sari Ma Pa Ni Sa, but the Aronam becomes like Sa Ni Pa Ba Ri Ga Ri Sa, Sa Ni Pa Ba Ri Ga Ri Sa. So, Sari Ma Pa Ni Sa is the same, Sa Ni Pa till there, even Ma is the same as your Madhyamavati, but the catch or the core of the ragam lies in Ri Ga Ri Sa. You would have also observed here when I rendered that the Ri has to be rendered straight and plain in Shri ragam. It is not oscillated like we do in Madhyamavati. So again look here, Ri Ga Ri Sa Ni Sa Ri Ga Ri Sa. So the nature of the Ga is also, you have to observe here, like Re straight, Ga, the Ga actually starts on the Rishabha itself and moves upward, and the next tree also is rendered plain. And for this we can ideally look at the Pancharatnam of Tyagaraja to see how this Re is handle re ga re sa ni sa ri sa ni ga ga ri sa ri sa ni in the ro. Now, the same Sri Ragam in Tyagaraja's compositions, you see that sa ni pa ma ri ga ri sa. But Dikshadhar has handled it slightly differently, where he uses sa ni pa da ni pa ma ri ga ri sa. So that element of introducing the Dhaivata in a Vakra Prayoga, sa ni pa da ni pa ma ri ga ri sa. So there are two Vakras happening in the Dikshadhar school. And also he attributes Sri Raga as a Mela because of the fact that it becomes a Sampurna character when the Dha is introduced. And what is interesting is that though he has used this, he does not repeatedly use the Sani Padani Pama throughout the composition. He is again using it in a very aesthetic manner. That is, in the whole composition you see that just in 2-3 places it comes out very beautifully in appropriate places. For example, if you take the composition Sri Rajalakshmi Namastobhyam, the whole Pallavi, everything goes there. Then only in the Anupallavi you see that Keshava Krit Kelinya Shri Padani Pa Mariga Risa. So that Padani Pa comes very sparingly. Even in Sri Vishwanatham, that Raga Malika that he has done, Sri Vishwanatham, where Chatudasha Bhuvana Rupa Ragama Leka Bharana Karanata Karanam. The Dha comes in very sparingly there. Or you can also see in the composition of Shyama Sastri, in the composition Karuna Judu, there in the Anupallavi you see that Brihan Nayaki, in that word that Padani Pama comes there also. Like this we see that even in the Varnam, the Sri Raga Varnam, you see that throughout Sani Pa only comes continuously. Only in the last Charnam Padani Pa that phrase comes. So here we could also compare it in the sense that how the great Vagekaras knew that these kind of Alpa Prayogas have to be used in a very sparing and beautiful manner. Suppose we are making sambar, for example. We know that if we add a little bit of jaggery, it enhances the taste. But just because the jaggery enhances the taste, if you are going to put a big, about quarter kilo or half kilo of jaggery into that sambar, then it will be a total disaster. And the taste itself will be totally marred. So how much of the quantity that we have to put to make it aesthetically beautiful or tasty in terms of the dish, the same thing holds value for anything, even in music also. So our stalwarts really actually understood that concept, and very sparingly in appropriate places they have used it. Now coming to the next ragam, Manirangu, this also takes the same arohana as Madhyamavati and Sri Ragam as Sari Ma Pa Ni Sa, but the avaronam is Sa Ni Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa, Sa Ni Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa. Now look at the Ga. In Sri Ragam also there was the Ga, here also the Ga is there. But the journey of the Ga, that is the route taken by the Ga, the color taken by the Ga is quite different. Observe the two parallelly. In Sri Ragam, Ri Ga Ri Sa. As I said, the Gandhara takes its starting point from the Ri. Whereas in Manirangu, the Ga glides from the Madhyama, like Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa, Ni Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa, Jaya Jaya Padmana Bhanu Jesha, Jaya Jaya Mohana Rajavesha. So you see that Pa Ma Ga Ri Sa. Now coming to the next ragam, it's a slightly rarer ragam, I would say, Pushpalatika. But nevertheless, there is a composition, a few compositions in this, so we will look into that also. This is again having the arona like Sari Ga Ma Pa Ni Sa sa ni pa ma ga re sa. So the only difference you could say between this and Karaha Priya is that the Dhaivata is not there in the Arohanam and the Avarohanam. It's like sa ri ga ma pa ni sa sa ni pa ma ga re sa. There is one composition of Tirupati Narayanaswamy which was popularized by MLV and MS Subbulakshmi Amma also. Ikanai na na moralida Radha, ikanai na na moralida Gada. So there are also a few more compositions in Pushpalatika by Swati Tinnal, Mysore Vasudevacharya, Pallavi Sheshayar, Tiger Varadacharya and so on. But what I wanted to make a point here is that these ragams, you could probably say that in the way that they move, probably like they're going on a journey from Chennai to Bangalore, and they take the almost the same route on their onward journey. But while they're returning, what happens is that halfway through, the ragas decide to take a slight diversion and to explore some more areas and then come back to the original destination, which is Chennai. So that's how we could look at these ragas, where there are almost a straight approach when they go upward in the Arohanam, and while coming back, what happens is that each one tries to take a slightly more, they want to explore something more exciting, and so they take a slight diversion here and there, and after that what happens, they resume their original path and come back and finally culminate on the Shadja. So this is how the ragas work, but nevertheless we see that all these ragas are very closely allied ragas, yet if you observe them very carefully and keenly, you will understand that each one of them have a distinct color and a distinct character of their own.
CM 365, all about Carnatic music.